God's name do you talk about this movie? The Odyssey is so monumental, so epic, so interesting, as it's the combination of a 2,000-year-old plus poem and modern filmmaking. Where do you even start with talking about this movie? Well, I guess you start by saying, spoiler alert! Let's be real, you've already seen this. You don't care about spoilers. Also, as a side note, I am coming at this having never read any version of the original poem. So do know, I'm simply just a guy who loves movies, this movie in particular, and I barely have a 4th grade reading level. One of these days, I'll finally be able to finish Click Clack Moo. The Odyssey follows legendary hero Odysseus as he tries to get himself and his men home after years away during the events of the Battle of Troy. But getting home isn't as easy as Odysseus may think, as he and his crew take the scenic route and get up to some wacky shenanigans, such as chilling with the fellas in a cave, disobeying the clear and strict instructions of ethereal beings, or brutally being shaped into pigs. Holy God, I do not want to think about that scene ever again. Let's start by talking about what you already know. Yes, Christopher Nolan has done it again. There are scenes in here that will rank among his best ever. The Cyclops sequence, the aforementioned pig scene that will not be named, the crazy, dark, terrifying storm that kills half of his crew, the siege of Troy. Hell, any moment that Agamemnon's on screen, just look at that guy, God. And it's all perfect, and it's perfect because none of it feels grand. It's not like the blow the brains out your back of your head kind of spectacle that something like the black hole sequence in Interstellar was. This is grounded spectacle, grounded fantasy. Kind of similar to The Green Knight a few years back. If you never saw that, if you haven't gone to see that, go watch it. What are you doing? Nothing here is filmed like your typical Percy Jackson or Clash of the Titans Greek fantasy spectacle. It is instead filmed like a horror movie. It is filmed with the camera at ground level 90% of the time. It uses dialogue that sounds like it's from this century and not 800 BC. The contemporary dialogue in particular is something that people were really upset about. I found that dialogue was just another lever that Nolan was able to pull to make this movie more accessible, to draw you in. Maybe not in a realistic way, maybe not in a way true to the time, but using modern dialogue, our vernacular, was another way that this is an adaptation of a very old poem. Adapted so that modern audiences, like me, who never finished Click Clack Moo, can still understand what's going on. Maybe I'm a dumbass, okay? I admit that. But I will watch a modern day retelling of like an old Shakespeare play, for example, and I still gotta like Google what the hell happened afterward in order to properly understand the characters' motivations, the themes, hell, just certain plot events. Fully engage with something like a Shakespeare film the first go around, you need to have that college professor level reading to understand big words such as sanctimonious, armgaunt, and this one I really don't understand, salad. There is no obstacle between you and understanding what's going on at any given moment in the Odyssey. And the language used in the film is a huge reason for that. It's an old poem. There are worse ways to adapt it for modern audiences, okay? But the grounded fantasy and accessibility is not the Odyssey's greatest achievement. No, that goes to how much the film got me to care about these characters when I just thought they were just Greek heroes, right? How much personality do they really need? Odysseus, for example, is heroic and legendary and leader-like, but also an idiot at times. He's just like me, for real. He makes mistakes. He shoots an arrow at the Cyclops just as like a middle finger, despite getting half of his men killed by doing so. But he also just wants to go home. He wants to get him and his men home after so many years at war. It's a relatable plight for a relatable character to the point where you empathize with him so easily. When the Cyclops or those giants kill men on Odysseus' watch, it hurts for you because it hurts for him. Throughout the entire film's runtime, really, you feel the guilt on Odysseus' shoulders. He carries the deaths of all the men that he took into battle. You feel that toll on him, so every death afterward that we get to see, it feels just as impactful. It also helps that enough character is given to the crew as well. Especially Himesh Patel as this guy. I can't pronounce that. Screw it, I'll try it. Eurylox.
Eurylochus.
Whatever. He was the face of tension between Odysseus and his crew. When Odysseus would lead them to certain death, he was the one to step up and be like, all right, man, you kinda got us killed with your last two decisions, maybe sit this one out. He keeps the lives of the crew in the forefront of both us and Odysseus, and you gotta like, yeah, I buy it, he wants to live. Like, guy makes a good point. Any issues that I do have with the film, I strangely enough totally understand why those decisions were made. For example, the music. Music in Christopher Nolan's films are usually a standout for me. Like, think of the Dark Knight soundtrack, think of the Interstellar soundtrack, or the Oppenheimer score. Whenever I feel like running through a wall, I turn on the opening scene to Tenet and its music. But unlike his other films, I never felt the need to like look up the Odyssey soundtrack on the drive home from the theater. It's mainly because the music, while it's not bad, it's actually really good. It's just in the background here. It's solely set dressing and atmosphere. It's always tense or beautiful or haunting when the situation calls for it, but never tries to take center stage or draw too much attention away from the grounded fantasy that you're watching. It just perfectly supplements it instead. Now, sound design's a different story. I will likely never get out of my head the sound the Cyclops makes when they stab it in the eye. It's this human but inhuman wailing that just like hurts to listen to. I couldn't help but like feel bad for him. Like, dude, you guys might have screwed this up. I will never forget the sounds of the storm and the lightning and the creaking ship when Odysseus was split from the rest of his crew. Sure, the music takes a back seat here, but every other sound in this film, man, it makes up for it. They amplify any and all effects of that spectacle. The other flaw with the film that isn't really a flaw, because again, I totally understand it, is its pacing. It's a long movie, all right? I'm getting old. Particularly the pacing in the last act of the film, where Odysseus comes home and is slowly starting to reveal himself to the people of Ithaca. It's an oddly paced section. It always feels like the film's like about to wrap up, but it just never quite does. But it's a return of the king situation here, right? You watch Odysseus endure so much pain and strife for years and years, so that when he does finally get home and start slowly revealing himself to his son, his servants, his wife, to the rest of the suitors that he brutally murders, it feels cathartic. It feels earned. It's like the film looking at you in the audience and saying, you waited 2 hours for Odysseus to get home. This guy waited 20 years, okay? We are going to give him that slow build cathartic homecoming that he deserves after all of this. We're gonna make it so that every 10 seconds you look at Odysseus and say, please tell your family that you're alive. Also, that dog got me, man. Why you gotta do that? The dog being the first one to recognize Odysseus when he gets back home from Ithaca and then immediately dying. Screw you, Homer, all right? How dare you, a man born thousands of years ago, make me sob in my Dave & Buster's equivalent version of IMAX? Also, as usual, here's my dog. Tell him he's cute. I had no other Greek movie in my head while watching the Odyssey, but the one movie I did think about a lot was, funny enough, Oppenheimer. The two share similar themes, of course, and follows this guilt-ridden protagonist bearing the loss of many lives. But that's not why Oppenheimer kept coming to mind while watching the Odyssey. Like Oppenheimer, there's this kind of grand event that you buy your ticket for. You buy a ticket to watch the Trinity test, right? That's the event that while you're watching the film, you know it's coming. You're just like waiting for it to happen. But when I think of the film Oppenheimer now, I don't think of the Trinity test. I think of the effect that the test had. The look on Cillian Murphy's face in that gymnasium when everyone is cheering his name and the blood on his hands becomes oh so clear. The Odyssey gave me a very similar reaction. I bought my ticket to watch the Cyclops scene, to watch the Siege of Troy, to just like see another Christopher Nolan movie. But now that I've seen it, when I think of the Odyssey, I don't think about any of those moments. I think about how Odysseus' crew was watching him suffer the songs of the sirens, right? Screaming in both this intense joy and this intense agony. And when they asked him what the song was, he responded by saying it was a song telling him that everything he could ever want is something that he already had and lost. I got chills just saying that, holy crap. The Odyssey is a good film because of its grounded spectacle, because of these epic moments that feel worthy of the age of the poem. But The Odyssey is a great film because somehow the connective tissue between those moments still packs a punch, with characters you care about, a story that feels as grounded as it does fantastical, and an all-around thrill of a movie to watch, ponder, and yap about on YouTube. But what did you think? Is The Odyssey Christopher Nolan's best? Where does it rank for you in his filmography? Personally, I gotta think about that, man. If it's up there, right? If it's not his best, it is absolutely one of his greatest achievements. Like, how do you pull something like this off? He did. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and for more videos like this over a cup of coffee, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.